Hi there. I will be your host. I will be your guide for life, as long as it has something to do with hair loss. Hi, I'm Nick Shell. Replying to a comment that I received from a video I did a while back called 34-Year-Old Man, Norwood 1, Can Grow Full Beard, Pure European Genes, something like that. I was interviewing my friend back when I had my job, and I want to read this to you, and I've got an agenda, you know me. Here it is, Max Cope. Here's what he says about this guy. Quote, you can outright tell that he is leading an easy, happy life, and that he feels completely comfortable in his own skin, all because he has been blessed with these following traits. European descent, plus blue eyes, plus Norwood 1, and to top it off, 6 foot in height. This man has won the genetic lottery, and his cheerful mood and lighthearted attitude is direct proof of the great benefits that having hair and being over 5'11" will bring to your life. End quote. Now, let me just say this real quick. As he's describing the friend that I interviewed, it's funny because me, I'm not taller than 5'11". I'm 5'9". I don't have the obvious European traits. You know, obviously I'm darker complected and featured. I don't have the blue eyes and the Norwood 1 and all this stuff. But I'm happy. I'm content. I'm woke. I'm at peace. I've unplugged from the things that don't matter in my life. That's how I feel. Now, he's talking about my friend. He's saying because my friend had won the genetic lottery, being 6 foot tall and blue eyes and kind of blonde hair and Norwood 1 and no thinning, the thick hair, that this man has won the genetic lottery and therefore, quote, he is leading an easy, happy life and he feels completely comfortable in his own skin. All because he's been blessed with those traits. Here's what's interesting. My friend that I interviewed for that video, I know him as a person, whereas that was just a 7-minute interview I did with him. Here's the thing about him though. It's easy to imagine that he had lived this easy life, but I know more than that. I know that he got married young and he got divorced young. And I know that any man who goes through a divorce, I can't speak personally from that, but from what I've seen, a man goes through a divorce, imagine what that does to his identity, where it makes him feel like a failure. It feels like dying or suicide to a certain amount. So at a young age, I think in his 20s, he got married and got divorced like pretty quickly. I know that he is also a recovered alcoholic. And obviously, there's got to be a lot going on there as well. So while he is this happy guy, you love to be around him, it just shows you, if you know him a little bit more than that, his life hasn't been that easy. He's had a lot of stuff happen to him even just in his 20s alone. And now that he's, in his mid-30s, he's able to get where he needs to be, and he is happy and he is at peace. But he's been through a lot. I wouldn't have wanted to go through those things, to struggle with sobriety, to have gone through a divorce in my 20s. That's deep, that's dark stuff. That's not something you just laugh off and think, oh well, that's my 20s, I just made some mistakes. To think about that, having to deal for the rest of his life thinking he can't have alcohol because he may, fall off the wagon or whatever it is, that's something he's got to deal with the rest of his life. And he's definitely at peace now. He's definitely happy now. And that's always the version of him that I saw in that video. But to assume that his life is great because of his genetics, okay, I'll give you that. He won the genetic lottery. Great looking guy and a happy guy as well. But he's got some dark things in his life, and that's something I've learned is it's so funny when you judge someone only on them winning the genetic lottery, especially when it comes to hair. Get to know that person. Find out the rest of their story. So far what I've learned is every man who has had this genetic lottery has some kind of also dark story that I wouldn't want to relate to. I wouldn't have wanted to live through. So it's funny because I feel that it's just putting so much stock in the thing that doesn't matter, which is that he won the genetic lottery. And again, he's such a great guy. I have so much respect for him. But his 20s sounded pretty dark and pretty rough. So it's funny to think, man, I wish I could be him. But then when you know the full story, it's like, man, would I trade that? Would I trade, the hair that I've got? Would I want to be a Norwood 1 with no thinning, but have already went through a divorce in my early 20s and to be a recovered alcoholic and have to deal with that the rest of my life? Like that's a lot of stuff. And I don't mean for this to be one of those videos like, would you rather? I don't mean it that way. What I mean is, it's easy to put so much stock on that thing that doesn't matter. And in reality, he's a real human being with a real story. Things that he's overcome and have had to overcome, and failures in his life that he's had to realize and deal with and overcome. And yeah, the version you see in the video is the overcome version of those things, and nothing but respect for him. But it is interesting to think about. It'd be easy to think, if you win the genetic lottery, your life is great. In reality, that's never been what I've seen. I've not seen a guy that had a perfect head of hair. In fact, I'm thinking of a guy I just recently met and really got to know very well, other than the guy we're talking about in this video. I got to know him very well. Perfect Norwood 1, no thinning. Tall. I think he's like 6'3" or something. And as I got to know him, I realized, wow, he's gone through a lot so far in his life, and he's only a little bit older than me. It's like, yeah, I don't envy his life. You know, if I'm tempted to envy his genetics, then just find the rest of the story out. So maybe that's my challenge in this. Next time you get to personally know someone that has this perfect Norwood 1, find out a little bit about them. Find out their life stories, and it may be that you don't envy their life at all. You're grateful to have them in your life now, that they've overcome those things. But I think the way it all works out in the end is, if you win the genetic lottery, in quotation marks, then there's some kind of trade-off on there too. That's why I don't mind being an average looking guy. If I was a good looking guy, then I'd always have to make that part of my identity and make sure I continue to be a good looking guy. I can get away with being an average looking guy, and maybe have to learn to work harder for things in some ways and be better off. Those are your deep thoughts today on winning the genetic lottery.